Greetings, fifth graders. We are here for another week of math fun. You've been working with circles and you've been using concrete objects to identify the parts of a circle. Well, we will continue that today, but we will be using pictorial representations. Let's get started. As I said, we are working with circles, SOL 5.10. And our learning target for today, I can identify and describe parts of a circle. Well, let's get started with reviewing vocabulary terms that you learned on day one. Here are a few of the vocabulary terms that we're going to review today. Point, center, circumference, line segment, chord, diameter, and radius. Do you recall those vocabulary words from yesterday? I know you do. Let's give a description of each of those and relate it to the circle. First, we're going to start off with points. If you notice around the circle, you will see a dot, several dots. Those dots, when connected, create a circle. Look at that circle. It is round. It is a two-dimensional circle. Figure, a two-dimensional plane figure. Our next vocabulary term is center. If you notice, there is a point in the center of the circle. Well, let's look at that point that's in the center of the circle. That center, that circle, that point is equidistant from all points on the circle. That means no matter where I go out or move out from the center, it's going to be the same distance. So that means that that point is in the center, the middle of the circle. Our next vocabulary term, circumference. If you notice on the circle, you'll see that there are red arrows and they're moving in a circular direction. Well, they're actually outlining the exterior of the circle, which is their circumference. We have the definition, the distance around or the perimeter of a circle. You talked about that. Remember, we learned about perimeter, which is the distance around a polygon. Well, this polygon, or excuse me, this figure that we're looking at today does not have any sides, but it is the exterior, the outer layer or the outer portion of the circle, the outline of the circle. Our next vocabulary term we have is a chord. So if you notice the chord, you notice that it touches or connects with two parts of the circle. It connects on two parts of the circle. Well, a chord is a line segment. And in third grade, we learned a line segment is part of a line. So a line segment or a chord is connecting any two parts on a circle. Now the chord may or may not go through the center of the circle, but it is having to touch two parts of the circle or 2 points on a circle. We're going to move to diameter. Look at the diameter. Now, if you think back to what we just saw in a chord, a diameter is an example of a chord because it touches 2 points on the circle. However, the diameter goes directly through the center of the circle. So the difference, or in addition to the diameter being a chord, it actually goes through the center, all right? So the diameter is also the longest chord of the circle. And another note, that the length of the diameter of a circle is twice the length of the radius, which is what we're going to look at just in a second. Here's the radius. Notice that center point again. And notice that it touches only one point on a circle. The radius is a line segment joining the center of the circle to any point. So the radius starts in the center and it can join any point on the circle, but only one point. All right? So now we're going to look at the diameter and the radius. But if you notice, we have radius spelled a little differently. Radii. Radii means more than one. So if we look at our circle below, we'll notice that the radius, as we said, makes up 2 parts of the radius is equal to the distance of, or the diameter. All right? So 2 radii is equal to the diameter. The radius, remember, touches the center and 1 point on the circle. All right, so let's try a couple of problems or questions that has us describing parts of a circle. You can do this. Problem number 1. So the question reads, if you started measuring the distance around the circle, starting at the arrow. So look at this model. We're measuring the distance around the circle and we're starting at that arrow. So we're moving clockwise or counterclockwise, whichever way, we're moving around the circle. What term best describes what you would be measuring? The distance around the circle. The distance around the circle. Well, would that be the chord? No, the chord is a line segment that touches 2 points on the line. We're not even inside the circle, right? Same thing for the radius. The radius is inside the circle. The radius is a line segment that touches or starts in the center and only touches 1 point on the line. And then center, well, that's that middle dot or that middle point that's in the middle of the circle. They didn't ask us that. They said, if I wanted to measure the distance around the circle. Oh, look, we're doing it. The distance around the circle. That gives us the circumference. Yes, good job. All right, number 2. Ooh, we have a pizza. Maurice worked on a math project for homework. He decided to model the parts of a circle using a pizza he baked for his family. He placed the pepperoni in a straight line across the pizza. He took a picture of his pizza and created a poster. After labeling the parts of the circle, he wrote 5 statements about his model of the circle. Which statements that Maurice wrote are correct? So let's first look at the pizza and see what we notice. Well, the pizza is a circle because it's round. And if I'm looking at the crust of the pizza, I would say that the crust is the circumference of the pizza because it is the distance around the pizza, okay? I could even say that the pepperonis, look at the pepperonis, they are going through the center of the pizza, but they're touching 2 points on the circle. So going through the center and touching 2 points, that's the diameter. Okay, so we have some information. So let's see about the answer choices. Which statements do we think are true? Let's read them all first. The first one, the crust of the pizza represents the circumference. The line of the pepperoni represent a chord as well as a diameter. The 7 pepperoni represents a radius. The diameter of the pizza is about 3 pepperoni. And the last choice, the line of the pepperoni across the pizza represents the diameter. So if we go back, we talked about the crust, and we said that the crust was the outside of the pizza. It looked like it measured the circumference. So the first one says the crust of the pizza represents the circumference. Okay. Now, the next answer choice says, let's look at the pepperoni. And we talked about the pepperoni. We said that the pepperoni touches 2 points on the circle, right? And it also goes through the center. So the line of the pepperoni represents a chord as well as a diameter. Well, a chord touches 2 parts of the circle. But in order for it to be the diameter, it has to go through the center. So the second choice is a great statement that it is correct. All right, let's look at the third choice. The 7 pepperoni represents a radius. So the 7 pepperoni, that's counting all of them. And we just said in our second statement that the diameter covers half of that circle, 2 points of the circle, and it goes through the center. So that can't be the radius, so we wouldn't select the choice that's the third choice. The fourth choice says the diameter of the pizza is about 3 pepperonis. Well, we just talked about it. In the second choice, we said the diameter touches 2 points on the circle and it goes through the center. So it definitely couldn't be 3 pepperoni if the entire line of pepperonis is equal to the diameter. The entire line of pepperonis, that's 7. So we wouldn't select the fourth answer choice either. Let's look at the last one just to check. The line of pepperoni goes across the pizza, represents the diameter. That's correct. That's exactly what we said with our second answer choice. So let's see. Do we agree? Answer choice, that the pizza crust does represent the circumference, that the pepperoni does represent the diameter, and that the line of pepperoni, again, does represent the diameter, which is also a chord. Awesome job. One more that we'll do together. All right, cool picture, a trampoline. I love jumping on those. A trampoline is shown below, which describes the radius of the trampoline. Well, let's think about again, think back about, we just talked a lot about the diameter. And we said the diameter touches 2 parts on the circle and it goes through the center. Well, we know that 2 radii are equal to the diameter. So if I have 1 radius, that's half. That means it goes through the center and then touches 1 point on the line. So let's see which answer choice is the best answer choice. The distance from the center of the trampoline to the edge of the trampoline. Distance from the center. That's a possible choice. All right, letter B. The size of the tarp used to cover the trampoline. Well, the tarp, that's that black part that's on the trampoline. So it's saying the size of the tarp to cover the trampoline is the radius. So the size, well, that's the entire circle, right? No, that doesn't sound like the radius. See, the distance around the edge of the trampoline. Okay, the distance around the edge. The distance, that's the circumference. So it can't be C. The last answer choice, the distance around one edge of the trampoline through the center to another edge of the trampoline. The distance from one edge of the trampoline through the center to another edge. That means it's touching in 2 parts, in 2 points of the circle. That's the diameter. So let's go back. Letter A. Letter A says the distance from the center of the trampoline to the edge. So that means it only touches it in one place. That's the radius. It only touches it in one place. See if we're correct. And yes, letter A is the best answer choice. So remember, when you have multiple choice answers, you want to make sure that you are checking every single one of them and you're proving and explaining why the answer choices are not the best answer choice. So now it's time for you to practice. What you need to do is to get your practice set, and continue the remaining problems. Once you finish those remaining problems, come on back to the video so that I can provide you with those solutions. Or not, I provide you with the solutions so you can check and see that you got your solutions correct. Take your time. Don't forget, if you need to go back to look in the video to review those vocabulary terms, do that before you get started. You got this. Now that we're back, problem number 4. Problem number 4 gave us Wayne and Danny both drew congruent circles and marked the center points as Q. They each drew a line segment they each drew a line segment inside their circle as shown. So the question asks, which statement describes the line segments in Wayne's and Danny's circle? The correct answer choice should have been B, that Wayne's line segment shows a radius and Danny's line segment shows a diameter. Problem number 5. Look at circle S. In the image, RS can be best described as A, the radius. Those were easy. So now I task you with, or I challenge you with the task, go share with your parents what you've learned about circles. And also, can you find some circles around your house? Can you pretend to create the parts of the circle and tell your parents, describe what those parts are? Take care until the next time we meet.